know when we are actually live. Chair, we are now live.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Finance and General Purposes meeting of Stanley Town Council. This meeting is taking place on Tuesday, the 9th of March, 2021 at 6:30 and is streamed live on YouTube. It will be available for a minimum of 6 months. Please be aware that footage from the meeting can be used in media broadcasts. I'm Jeanette Stevenson, Chair of the Finance and General Purpose Committee, and I would like to extend a warm welcome to members, officers, members of the public and media who are watching this live stream. I would normally go through some housekeeping issues, but I think we all know them by now, so I don't propose to do that any further and just to actually move into the formal business of the agenda. Thanks very much. Okay. Do we have any apologies for absence, James? Item 1.
Chair, I've not received any apologies for absence prior to the meeting. Okay,
lovely. Do we have any declarations of interest?
Chair, as part of the last full council meeting, there was a point made about the appeals panel. I've had notification of 3 members who are part of the appeals panel, which I would welcome to declare an interest at this point in time.
Yeah. Mark and David?
Thanks, Chair. I'm one of the people on the appeals panel, so I'd like to declare an interest, and I'll not be taking any part in the Part B item today. Thank you.
Okay. David? Sorry, David, you're on mute.
Sorry, I've got my hand up.
No, David Tully. Sorry, David Marshall.
Right,
David
right,
Tully.
sorry.
and with David being on mute, that's where it all
yeah, the same as Mark, I'm on the appeals panel, so I will be taking no participation in the item L. Thank you.
Right. Thanks very much, David. I also must declare an interest because I'm on the appeals panel, and so I would request that the Vice Chair would take over the meeting from that point onwards. Gordon, if you would be willing to do that.
I would be if I knew what to do.
You'll be fine, you'll be fine. Okay, thank you very much.
Chair, Councillor McMahon's got his hand up.
Oh, sorry. Councillor McMahon, sorry about that. I didn't spot your hand.
That's all right. Just to declare a pecuniary interest in item 7, the events management contract, because it relates to Stanley events.
Okay, smashing. Thank you. Righty-ho. If we can move on now to item 3, I don't have any announcements from the chair, but the town clerk has an announcement to make.
Chair, it was just to obviously make members aware that obviously the changes for the roadmap following the latest announcement. Myself and officers are continuing to monitor the situation at the town council, and obviously we'll report back to you when we are able to start working again with regards to the civic hall and what that means. And then the final thing, Chair, if you're happy for me to undergo it, is just to do the hear, see and papers check as part of the normal procedures.
Thank you very much, James.
Okay, so members, this is just to confirm that you can hear, you can see and you have your papers to hand. Councillor Gordon Binney?
Yes, I'm fine. I can hear, see and I've got the papers to hand, yes.
Councillor Helen Clark?
Yes, I can see, hear and I've got the papers.
Councillor Mark Davidson?
Yes, yes and yes.
Councillor Carol Hampson?
Yes, I can see, hear and I've got the papers. Thank you.
Councillor James Kane?
Yes to all.
Councillor David Marshall.
Yes to all.
Councillor Joe McMahon.
Yes to all.
Councillor Ballot Nair.
Yes to all.
Councillor Joan Nicholson.
Yes to all.
Councillor Jeanette Stevenson.
Yes to all.
Councillor Les Timby.
Yes to all.
And Councillor David Tully.
Yes to all.
Thank you, Chair. All good and correct.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 4, public participation, James.
Chair, I can confirm that we've received no questions prior to the meeting.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Okay, we can move on to item 5, confirmation of the minutes. So we would like to approve them as the correct record and sign the minutes off. Do I have a proposer? Yes, Les, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I propose we accept them and see them as a true record, so I'm happy to propose those.
Yeah. Carol? You're on mute.
I'll second those.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. So we're happy with that, James?
Yes, Chair, unless there's any dissent, I'm happy to move forward on that.
No one? Okay, smashing. On to item 6, accounts for payment and bank reconciliation. The committee is requested to consider the information and approve the accounts and note the bank reconciliation. Comments? Do we have any comments? So are we happy to approve them? Approve the payment of accounts for February? Gordon? You're on mute, Gordon.
Right, sorry about that. I'd like to propose that we take all the items together and accept them.
Okay. Everyone happy with that? Can I have a seconder for that?
I second that, thank you.
Ola, yes, second. Was everyone happy with that? Are we happy to approve the payment of accounts for February and note the bank reconciliation?
Yes, Chair.
Yeah.
Yep, happy with that, Chair.
Anyone unhappy with that? Please make yourself known. No? Everyone happy? Okay, that's lovely. Moving on to item 7, events management contract, attachment F. James, are you going to take us through that?
Chair, it's actually the Deputy Town Clerk, Alan,
right,
who's going to take you through this report.
Okay. Sorry, yes, thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thanks. All right, just a quick go through the report. I mean, the purpose of this report is really to update members on the current situation around the council events and the events contract. The background, a big part of the background of this is obviously the contract that we have in place with Alan Hillary Events since July 2018, which was to cover the years 18, 19 and 20. In addition to that, obviously, we do our own events, that we put our own events on through the Civic as well, which we see supporting us through that. For 2021, with the pandemic, obviously, as everybody's aware, the events all got cancelled. The events budget then got put into the community fund and then got distributed amongst the community groups as part of that. For 2021-22, it's providing difficult to predict what we can do and what we can do when. We have been meeting as the events working group. That's been going ahead monthly. The minutes of the meeting, I believe, is later on this meeting. I could say item 9, attachment H, for the last meeting. So we've been looking at events as part of that in anticipation if we can put anything on. I mean, Alan Hillary Events have agreed to work with us through that and support us through that where possible with advice and and whatever. Ultimately, we've also been looking at other options for support and other ways of developing the events throughout the course of the year, potentially as well. So we thought we'd report this to council so everybody's aware of where we're at with that, as well as obviously the financial details. The events contract, as with Alan Hillary Events, as I said earlier, it was initially for 18, 19 and 20. Now, obviously, we didn't do anything in 20, so we were looking to possibly roll the events over into next year. Roll the 19th there, the 20 contract extended a year, so he gets his 3 years with a gap in the middle of the one where we couldn't do anything. That's what we'd like to do and work with them throughout the course of the year, if agreeable. The other element is the contract is now at an end, effectively when the 3 years is up. So we need to guide on where we go moving ahead. Partnership working, we've been looking at that as part of the group as well, looking at ways to enhance the events, whether that's working with partners to bring something in to play, or whether it's looking to bring a bit of money in for some funding from outside as well. We've put a couple of funding bids in for various little things for potential events coming up. So hopefully we can get that money in, which obviously will enhance the events that we're allowed to put on with a bigger budget. The other thing that we have as part of one of the events that we fund as a town council is the fireworks event. Similar to the Scott Hillary, this was agreed in November 2018 to fund for 3 years, which obviously would have been 19, 20, 21. We couldn't, Stanley Events couldn't put that event on in in last year. Sorry, 19, 20 last year, 20, or 19, 20. Anyway, you know what I mean. Stanley Events couldn't put that event on last year, but obviously their intention is to put that on this year. What we're looking at doing again is to keep that sort of 3 year package of funding and sort of, rather than let that year go, to extend that to to add another year onto that initial 3 years, so that we still pay for 3 years, but it actually covers a bit of a longer period. So in summary, that's what it's about. It's the events contract for the period of 3 years, with 2021 being the final year of the contract. No events were held in 2021. So we're looking to probably roll that forward into the next to cover us for this year. And so the recommendations, what we're looking at doing here is roll a final event, the final year of the Alan Hillary events contract, into 21 to cover this year. Also, we would like to permission to look to explore what we do going ahead, how the council would like to see us going ahead with events production, if you like, in future years, whether that's another contract or whether that's another way of doing that, with the intention of bringing the report back to finance, probably looking at that at a later date. Roll over the funding for the Stanley Events fireworks, so they get their 3 years and that extends that. And similarly, look to potentially extend that agreement, because it's been a good positive working relationship there, to a good positive event that the town council's been good at supporting the town. And the other one is to request officers to focus their time on doing maybe increasing partnership working and funding applications to try to add extra value to the events. Thank you. Any questions? I'm happy to take. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Alan.
Chair, just before we move to debate and any questions, could I just ask Councillor McMahon just to leave the meeting, and we'll invite him back following the end of this report. Councillor McMahon has now left the meeting. Thank you.
He's left the building. Okay, so if I can open the floor. Well, not open the floor, open the debate to the floor. Mark?
Thanks, Chair. I think that there's a few of us on the events group, and we're all probably in a similar mind, really, that well, the first thing was that last year we had obviously events planned that then got cancelled through COVID. and Alan Hillary Events had already done work on sort of preparations for those events, if you know what I mean, because obviously if you've got an event coming up in June, if you've got to cancel it in the middle of March, then you've already done most of the things to book most of the acts and chase up the armed forces. It's obviously the Armed Forces Day, etc., etc. So I think that one of the best things was that we didn't get any invoices from Alan Hillary Events for that. So they recognised the problems that we were having, even though obviously their business just about stopped for the year. So my recommendation for that, well, for the first part, for number one, is that we do roll it over, because Alan Hillary Events is a local company. Obviously, they're very experienced in doing events, and they only charge us for the actual events that they do organise and the work they have to put into for us to hold them. So really, for me, it's if we end up not putting any events on, it's not going to cost us any money. Whereas if we had to go back out to tender and say we're not sure what events we're having on, but will you put a tender in? Would you put a tender in for it? Then I don't know who we would be able to get. It would seem quite risky at the moment. So I'd like to propose that we roll over the final year of the contract with Alan Hillary Events. And then number two, I'd also like to propose that we request the officers explore the possibilities and the options for events contract in 22-23. I think this is a more longer term one, really, because like I say, I don't know what events we'll be holding this year, and I don't know what events the new council will decide they want to have next year. So it'll either be in more events or less events, or different types of events, or different partnerships of events. So I think that might be quite a decent piece of work. That would be a lot of fun for them to do. For number three, for the fireworks event, I think that obviously Stanley Events has been running that for a while. It's not an event where the town council pays the whole of the costs of the event, but I think we pay about 2/3, something like that. James might know better than me, but I think that we should continue to support it, because we said we would give them 3 years, and if they've only had a year, then I think we should roll it over for the extra year, just to make sure that the event survives. Because really, I think I don't know. I would have thought Stanley Events will be in the same sort of thing as Alan Hillary Events and all the other event companies, that they'll be looking to continue and build their businesses back up again. And the number four, Alan, is it supposed to say 2022 for number four? Because I thought you said that the thing ends in 21, but if we roll it over, it'll end in 22. But it doesn't matter whichever one it is. I think that's a good idea, that we should try to work in partnership with them to make sure that it continues. Whether that's the town council putting the same amount of money in, less and more money in, or more money in, I think it's an important event that attracts people into the town for that night. We just need to make sure that everybody can make more of it. That's all. And then number five, I agree with number five as well. I'm getting boring today. Sorry. And I think we should focus on potential events and look into partnership working, because last year we had the plans for a cracking event for our heritage, for our Miners Sunday, and which got cancelled. But Alan and Scott Hillary had all sorts of things that they had planned with the Tommy Armstrong Society for the 100th anniversary of the death of Tommy Armstrong. So that was going to be a cracking event, working in partnership with them. So I think we can do more of that, where we can possibly get some in-kind things, and or maybe even a little bit of cash, and keep on working that way. Alan, can you just tell us whether I've got that wrong about 2021 and 2022? Please.
Was that for the fireworks?
Yeah. It says 21, but I thought...
It was agreed at council on 2018, at the end of November 2018. So that was for 19, 20 and 21.
Right.
Because it was 3 years going ahead. So obviously it'll have to go to 20. We missed 20, so it'll be 21, 22.
Right,
Would be the
okay.
3 years.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks very much. So I'm proposing that we accept all them, please, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bala, you have your hand up?
Yes, listening to both Alan and to Mark, I want to second Mark's proposal that we carry on and roll it over and allow Hillary to carry on and meet all the demands that we have asked for.
Thank you, Bala. Les, you have a hand up? Les, you're on mute.
Right, I'm not now. Just one other thing that hasn't been covered in this report, and I think it's something that we need to look into because we've done it in the past, but we all aware, you know, Boris has got his roadmap, and what we can do, but we're still living in that land of not sure. One of the things, Alan, is if you could look into the possibility of opening the summer cinema and like having a plan for the summer cinema, because it's always been popular with families and that, but depending on where we are with lockdown or whatever the new norm, if we could, you know, if you could look into that and sort of come back and report back to council, say before the summer.
Alan?
Yeah, no problem there, Councillor Timmy. I mean, we did a cinema thing last year where we didn't get massive amount of people turn up, but we did get some. It's certainly we worked in partnership with Packed House on that, with some of the families they were supporting, where they did the tickets. I think this year, with the vaccinations and things like that, you know, it should be a stronger position than it was certainly last year. You know, so yeah, we can definitely work on that. We can certainly do a bit of prep. We can get some things done in the background, and then if we can get things good to go, if we can go with it, yeah. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Alan.
Thanks, Alan. Okay, anyone else? No? Okay, so do we need to go to a vote, James?
Chair, yes, we'll need to do a recorded vote because there's a commitment here. I would just ask that obviously all 5 recommendations have been proposed and seconded by the same person. If there's no dissent, would council be open to having one recorded vote covering all options, or would you prefer me to do each individual recommendation with each individual recorded vote?
Let's do all together, please.
I would have thought all together if we can. Is there anyone who was unhappy with that? Please speak up. No, so I think we'll just go with the one, James, if you don't mind. Thank you.
That's absolutely fine. Bear with me. I'll just amend my boxes that I had up for this vote. Yeah, that's fine. So, members, it's recommended that council make recommendation to full council to roll over the final year of the contract with Alan Hillary Events Limited to cover the year 21-22. Request officers explore possible options for the events contract for 22-23 and beyond, with a report presented to Finance and General Purposes at a later date. Rollover funding for the cancelled 2020 Stanley Events fireworks event, and request officers to explore options to ensure the Stanley Events firework event continues beyond its current contract. I think that is supposed to be 22, but we will clarify. It's basically a rollover to miss out the year that we've just gone.
Yeah.
And then the final one is to request officers to focus time on planning potential events and looking to increase the partnership working to add greater value to the events. So Councillor Gordon Binney.
4.
Councillor Helen Clark.
4.
Councillor Mark Davidson.
4.
Councillor Carol Hampson.
4.
Councillor James Kane.
4.
Councillor David Marshall.
Yeah, David Marshall. I'm Deputy Mayor and represent Craghead and South Stanley, and I'm 4.
Councillor Joe McMahon. Oh, my apologies. My apologies, members. I have not requested Councillor Joe McMahon to come back in. That is my fault. Bear with me while I ask Councillor McMahon to come back in.
He can't come back in, can he, yet? Because he
No,
can't,
he can't come back in yet because we're still voting on it.
We're still voting, James?
Right, my apologies. Right, okay. Councillor Ballinair.
For.
Councillor Joan Nicholson.
For.
Councillor Jeanette Stevenson.
For.
Councillor Les Timby.
For.
And Councillor David Tully.
For.
Unanimous, Chair. I'll now invite Councillor Joe McMahon back in, and of course we'll apologise to him for not inviting him to the last one. Councillor Joe McMahon, are you back in the group?
Yeah, I'm back here now.
My apologies, Councillor. During the last, we've just done the vote on the events management contract, of which you weren't invited in prior to the meeting. So apologies, it was passed unanimous.
That's no problem. I was watching on the live stream anyway, so.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. So moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is item 8, attachment G, our budget plan report. And James, I think you're taking us through this.
I am. Thank you very much, Chair. Members, the report is as read. So the budget plan's been put together to provide a detailed budget plan for the 21-22 budget and to outline proposals for strategic management of the council's budget, whilst also outlining areas of spend needing approval. So as we were all involved on the 19th of January 2021, the full council agreed the 21-22 budget, including the precept amount of 798,842. The budget is provided in figure 1. So during the budget process, officers were required to identify spending allocations based upon expected spend for the year ahead. So these costs are broken down further into figure 2. So this effectively, figure 2 is a more detailed budget of what was in figure 1. So several areas can also be drilled down further, of which is in 3.2, including as a subline of civic hall licenses, subscriptions and community engagement. So several key areas of spend require strategic input from members, while other areas of spend would normally be delegated to the town clerk with the remit of the budget heading. Of course, reportable to finance and general purposes on a regular basis. The officers believe the following areas require strategic input from members, whilst all other areas can be delegated to the town clerk on the caveat that any expenditure incurred is subject to the limitations of the budget heading. So the strategic elements are improvements to the Civic Hall, the Capital Works programme, reactive maintenance via the Capital Works programme, community engagement or the community consultation, community COVID-19 recovery fund, the events budget, including Remembrance Services, Blue Plaque Schemes, Heritage Project, West Stanley Memorial, Miners Sunday, and the Christmas decorations. So the strategic input from members can include members' input and agreement of a strategic plan, outlining the expectations and general scope for spend. So this allows officers delegated authority to incur expenditure in line with its scope, reportable on a regular basis. Whilst a working group committee can make recommendations to finance and general purposes or full council prior to allowing officers to incur expenditure. As I mentioned in 3.6 and 3.7, the benefits of a strategic plan and also the working group. In point 4, we cover a few additional items, one of which is the marketing contract. The current situation with regards to paying a retainer fee of £500 per month to the marketing company Creo. 4.2 lists the vehicle purchase that is proposed in the 2021-22 budget for £12,000. And then 4.3 lists 3 current contracts which are due for renewal between the 31st of March 21 and the 21st of May 21. So the proposal is based upon the content of this report, that the following strategic plans be produced by officers and presented to the committee following the elections. So the Civic Hall Capital Works programme, including improvement works, a community engagement plan, environmental services strategic plan, the Civic Hall strategic plan, and the grant funding strategic plan. That all other areas of expenditure are delegated to the town clerk in line with the budget heading, reportable, of course, to the finance and general purposes. And council provide officers with direction pertaining to the current external marketing arrangements on whether to continue the current arrangement with Creo or move to a pay as we use, as and when needed basis, or of course another model. And 5.4, that the purchase of the vehicle for the purposes of the environmental services is delegated to the town clerk in consultation with the environmental services. And finally, council approved the renewal of Durham County Council contracts for the year 21-22 as outlined in 4.3. So the recommendations are for the committee to consider the report and approve the proposals as set out in section 5 of the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James. That's very nice and clear there. If I can just open things out to the floor for some discussion. David, Marshall, you had your hand up.
Yeah, just a small one, but on 3.2, we always paid a subscription to Nereo. We have in the past. Now, they gave us excellent work. We've used them for a lot of years, and they don't appear in this list. Now, we normally agree this at the annual meeting, but because it's in this document here, I thought I would raise it now.
Thank you very much, David. James, have you any?
Unfortunately, Chair, I don't have that information, but the finance officer may be able to answer that query, or she may not be able to at this point in time. It depends what the information she's got with her.
Yeah, maybe it's just an oversight. Anne, do you have any idea?
Hi, sorry, I missed the organisation that Councillor Marshall.
Nereo. So they've helped us out with HR issues and various things in the past.
Okay, and was that an annual subscription?
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, Les.
Thanks, Chair. I think it would be better if we can debate each of the points individually, then go, you know, you've got 5.1, 5.2, yeah. 5.3. I think it'd be much easier for members to sort of debate each point of these proposals.
Okay. Right, so if we want to go to the very first point, 5.1, and if people would like to, yes, Mark, have a discussion. 5.1, Mark.
Thanks, Chair. I was just trying to get my hand off, it wouldn't work. I just think we should keep it the same as what we've got. I think that James sent us a document yesterday that outlined the different times that we've used Nero for the last year. I don't know whether they supplied it to him or if he asked for it, but either way, I think prior to today's meeting, it showed how much we've used them, but how many gaps there was, how much more we can use them, if you know what I mean. I think that we've got a couple of things coming up that to do with I think what James is now calling the environmental services. We've got our judging coming for Britain in Bloom.
Mark, can I just stop you there? Are you talking about 5.3 here, about Creo?
Oh, hell aye, what number, what's 5.1?
5.1 is about all of the reports that James is proposing. So
I've got something to say about them as well, Chair. So
okay, then fire away. No one else has a hand up, so the floor is yours.
I think they sound like a good idea. The only thing that I'm slightly worried about is do we have the staffing capacity to be able to be working on them all at the same time, or do we need to say that that one's more important than the other and we'll prioritise whichever one you want first? I don't know. That was the only thing I was thinking. Do we need to prioritise to make sure that they're good quality and they come in the time scale that we want? I don't know whether James has thought about that or but that was my only query on that one, Chair. Thank you.
So do we have a strategic plan for the strategic plans?
Aye.
Good thought.
Chair, it's a really good point there from Councillor Davidson. There isn't a strategic plan for the strategic plans. However, what I would do following this meeting is put together a timetable of which I believe that we could put these together. It's a reality that we don't have strategic plans available in these areas, but some of them is about bringing information together that we've already got and putting it into one single document. So yeah.
Thank you, James. That's great. So will that be brought back to a further meeting? Some sort of time scale about when those reports will be coming to us, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got no problems doing that, Chair.
That's lovely. They all sound great. Les?
Yeah, I think it's great that with having a strategic plan on all these different things, because it gives the council a much easier way to see where we're going, and it'll help all the officers if we've got strategic plans on here. And James has got in his report to bring these plans back after the elections, and I'm totally satisfied with that. And I would propose that we accept these proposals if 5.1.
Okay. Do I have a seconder for that? No, sorry, Mark, yes.
Chair, I'll just come back in and say that thanks James for the answer, which I think was spot on. And if that is the answer, then I'd like to second them, because I think they'd be good for the council. Thank you.
So do we need to have a vote on this, James? Or do we just ask if everyone accepts?
No, I'm happy on this 5.1 that we don't need a vote on this, because there's no financial commitment. It's just a work stream. So yeah.
So can I ask all members that if you are unhappy with that, to let me know? And if not, I'll take it that everyone is in agreement with that point. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. That's lovely. If we move on to 5.2. Is there anyone wishes to speak on 5.2? Bala?
Chair, it's logical what is being proposed over here, and it cuts out a lot of bureaucratic paperwork and all that stuff. So I suggest that we agree to the proposal 5.2, that the expenditure is delegated to the town clerk.
Righty-ho. Do I have a seconder for that? Gordon? You've got your hand up? You're on mute, Gordon.
Yeah, I agree. I'll second that. I think it's a good way to go forward. It's logical. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Again, can I ask if everyone's happy with that? If anyone isn't, could they let me know, please? Okay, James, happy with that?
Yes, that's absolutely fine. Happy with the with 5.2. Doesn't need to go to a vote again.
Oh, it does? Oh, it doesn't? No.
No, it doesn't, Chair. Sorry.
Right, thanks. 5.3. Mark, he wants to have his say tonight, mind, doesn't he?
It's like deja vu, when it kids.
Fire away.
I'm not going to start off with a preamble, but I think that we've got this contract, we've got this retainer, so let's use it and let's keep using it, and let's get the information for the town council out there. Like I was saying before, I think I'd just start off by saying we've got our virtual judging for our Northumbrian Bloom coming up. We've got our garden competition coming up. We'll also have the exciting news of look at our new councillors are and all that type of stuff in May. So I think that we just need to try and use it a bit better, and make sure that we use the opportunity that's there to sell what we're doing, really, because I would suspect that a lot of people in Stanley still don't know what we do and why we're here. So I think that just use it better, and it'll be good for the council. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Mark. David Tully, you've got your hand up, David.
I'm trying to unmute myself, Chair.
Are you there? It's like being at a seance.
I keep pressing it. I agree with Mark. I agree with Mark that we should utilise Creo if we retain the contract. At the moment, I don't think we utilise them to the fully. We're still paying them, and we're not getting full value for money. If we retain them, make them work for us. Make them work for the money rather than. Yeah, that's all I can say about it. Right, okay.
Thanks, David. Les?
Yeah, I agree with both Mark and David. We'll retain them, but we work with Creo and tell them what we've got coming up in events and get the publicity out about what the events we're doing, what things are happening, and what Stanley Town Council is spending the money on. We need to get out there and say this is what we're doing. You know, there's people in Stanley Town Council area which haven't got a clue of what's going on in Stanley Civic or Stanley Town Council areas. So we need to work and push Creo, as David said, to have a big joined up approach, and they know what's coming. We've got the pantomime coming this year. That'll be a massively publicity thing that we need on the likes of Creo. So I totally second Mark's that we'll just keep the contract the same.
John?
Do we know the difference in cost between as and when and a contract? My concern is that just if the world doesn't go back to normal and we don't have anything on, how much is it costing us? And how much, if we just had them for as and when, how much would it cost us to put that advert out? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. James, have you any idea?
Chair, the current retainer with retainer arrangement with Creo is that we get 1 day of work per month on a month by month basis. So although I don't know the absolute answer to Councillor Nicholson's question, that's what we pay for at this present moment in time. Whether or not we get it slightly discounted or not, I wouldn't be able to answer that at this present moment in time.
Okay, thanks, James. David?
Yeah, for 500.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, David. Nick Marshall. Sorry. Oh, I'm going to have to start calling everybody by the Sunday name.
Okay. I'm on. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The obviously the Creo, it's not a question of what's happening with lockdown. There's a lot of things this council's been doing that hasn't had the publicity that it deserves. The organisations we're supporting, how often we're supporting them, the facts and figures that we get on what these organisations are doing, all that could have been put out, and we've missed the boat somewhere. But if we carry on into the future, it doesn't matter whether lockdown continues or not, we'll be able to put a lot more information out than what we are at the moment.
Thanks, David. Now, David, you did have your hand up. Do you want to speak? David Tully. David Tully, do you want to speak? You did have your hand up and you've put it down. I don't want to cut you off.
All right, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can, yes.
Yeah, it won't let us talk. Yeah, I know Creo have done some work in the past, but it seems to be central of Stanley, they haven't really gone out to the villages. There's been a lot of things going on in the outlying villages of Stanley within the ward. We've got 7 wards, but they only seem to report on main town centre or certain wards. You know, we've had a lot of things on in the area in our ward. We've put them out there. Nothing's been reported on, which saddens us.
Yeah, I do think that we have missed a trick here as councillors and as an organisation. Sorry, speaking from the chair here, because if CREO don't know what's happening, then they won't report it. It's as simple as that. So it's about us being a bit more proactive as well, I think, going forward. Bala?
This is just to say that publicity is a dynamic issue. In other words, I do not recommend a one-off issue because it is a constant dialogue between the people putting out the advertising and the people needing the advertising, which keeps the people putting out the advertising in full contact and understanding of what is needed on a daily basis. So that's where I agree with David Tully and David Marshall in that we should be in constant contact with them, raising every single bit of thing that we do so that the publicity is holistic. So I do not appreciate having just for a single issue when it arises, etc., because publicity is a dynamic issue.
I think what we need to decide as a council is what in our 1 day a month are we going to use CREO for, and what is the dynamic publicity for our organisation that you've rightly been talking about, Bala, and what should be coming out through our own offices basically and through our own Facebook, etc. And possibly we might need some sort of marketing, sort of Marcom's sort of strategic plan as well, James. As much as I hate to say it, we need another strategic plan. Helen?
All I was wanting to say, obviously it's £500 for 1 day. What exactly does that 1 day equate to? Is it 8 hours? Is it just for clarification? Just
Chair, I think it is to do with a normal 9 to 5 day on what can be accomplished. Obviously, if some work goes over for one item, but another item there's less work, that would balance each other out effectively.
Yeah, no, it was just clarification.
Thanks,
it could be
yeah. Les?
Yeah. Just going back to what Councillor Tully said, that the stuff that CREO's put out is all about the centre of Durham, centre of Stanley. Sorry, I forgot where I was. But there was a massive publicity about the Oxhill clear-up, which is not the centre of Stanley, and it was well received, and it just goes to show the work that our environmental team, the neighbourhood wardens, were doing in cooperation, and all the good publicity that we got on the back of that Oxhill clean-up, because I saw the video. I was there when they were pulling gas canisters and shopping trolleys out the woods, you know, so there was absolutely loads, and I agree with what the sentiment of everybody else. The officers need to keep in touch with CREO to say, we have got this event coming up in the 2nd week of April. We've got this one coming up the 4th week of April. That then, if CREO doesn't know about what we've got coming off, they'll never be there to give. It's got to be a partnership working between Stanley Town Council and CREO. So I still, agree that we'll keep the contract, and that's what I think anyway. Cheers.
Thank you, Les. David Tully again. Is that a proper hand or a historical hand?
No, that's a proper hand. Les, I would say, being in the little village or the little township of Tanfield, we have had nothing. We have had some absolutely massive events going on, like the Scarecrow Festival, like an absolutely fantastic Mini Miners Gala. That was absolutely brilliant. You know, heritage, things like that. There wasn't a sniff. You know, and we want our people to know what we are doing as well as the rest of the town. You know, but we don't get a sniff, and that's what gets us. Especially the mini miners gala, where we had the school kids, we had the bishop doing a talk, you know, parading banners for yeah, that's all I can say. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, David.
Chair, would it be reasonable for me to come in at this point and ask? Obviously, previous year or the start of this year, there was a consultation and marketing plan for the town council. Obviously, based upon the conversations that we've had today, I think it would be worthwhile if officers put one together and we reach out to all councillors asking any specific dates of anything coming up, so we can take them into account when we're pulling that together.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Helen, Helen was the last person to speak, so I'll just bring her in.
All it was to say was obviously, I think, to put this to bed, there was quite a bit of miscommunication, shall we say, previously. I know I personally had given officers lots of different pictures, lots of different detail of various things that have gone on, and none of them appeared. Now, whether that was just an unfortunate set of circumstances, but going forward, I think it would be better to possibly get some sort of a calendar going.
Yeah.
And utilise it to the best of Stanley and all of the outlying areas. Things, yeah.
Thanks, Helen. Totally agree with that. I've got David Tully. Is that historical or is it a new hand?
It won't go down.
What can I say? Thank you very much, David. David Marshall?
Yeah, I don't want to take on too long, but I mean, we're talking about what the town council's doing. That's what Creo is employed to do, not what we're doing in our branches and in our wards, our areas. That's up to us to get that publicity out. But there's nothing wrong with having a calendar of such, and if any organisation has an event going on, there's no reason why we can't get it some publicity. But yeah, mainly to advertise what this council is doing. That's why we need Creo. That's how I see it anyway.
Well, I think that's been a really good debate. Thanks, everyone. And I think there's been some really good suggestions there, in particular the calendar. And we do all need to work together in partnership with Creo, because we've got to feed them the information of what's happening. And that's something I think it'll be a good idea to bring that back, James, some sort of Marcom's plan, because we started it and it didn't get very far, in fairness. So I think it needs to be revisited, as you suggest. So did you want to come back in, James, or are you?
No, that's absolutely fine. Chair, as this is a financial commitment, we would need a vote on this, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which way you sit.
Yeah. Okay, so we need a proposer for this.
Mark's already proposed.
Chair, I think
has he? Oh, Andy, did you second it?
Yes, I've got that down.
Yeah, you've
Chair.
got that down. So, sorry everyone, but we'll have to go to a formal vote.
So, Chair, just to go over 5.3, I'm from Mark's proposal to continue with the current arrangements, which is the £500 per month retainer with the marketing company Creo. Is that okay, Councillor?
Yes. That's lovely.
Yeah, there's just the other bit was that we tasked you to make sure we use it to the utmost of our abilities and squeeze every penny out of it, but I don't know how you would say that in a proposal.
That's absolutely fine. So going to the vote now, Councillor Gordon Binney.
For.
Helen Clark.
4.
Councillor Mark Davidson.
4.
Councillor Carol Hampson.
4.
Councillor James Kane.
4.
Councillor David Marshall.
4.
Councillor Joe McMahon.
4.
Councillor Ballinair.
4.
Councillor John Nicholson.
Against.
Councillor Jeanette Stevenson.
4.
Councillor Les Timby.
4.
Councillor David Tully.
Against.
Chair, that's 10 for and 2 against, with 0 abstentions, so that's been passed.
Okay, that's lovely, and thank you very much, everyone. Moving on to 5.4, on this item 8, attachment G, and that is the purchase of the vehicle for the environmental services team. Do we have to? Do we want to have some sort of debate around this? Les?
Yeah, just a few questions for the clerk regarding the purchase of the vehicle. For £12,000, what sort of vehicle do we get, and are we looking at getting the similar vehicle to what we've got? Because obviously that must be the correct side for all the work that we're doing regarding the bits. So is the vehicle we're going to purchase like for like, and what sort of vehicle do we get for £12,000? That's the first couple of questions.
Thank you, thank you, Councillor. So, Chair, just to go over some of the points that Councillor Timby brought forward there. Unfortunately, it won't be a like-for-like vehicle, as in the year and the age of the vehicle. £12,000 doesn't obviously buy you a brand new or a 1-year-old vehicle, which we've currently got. However, the spec of the vehicle will be as per the same, if not better. But it will be subject to what's available at the time and in connection with the end term of our current lease vehicle. So we are aiming for, as a minimum, exactly the same, but we do hope that we will get better. Some of the vehicles that we've been looking at are ex-council stock. One of which is a big city council up in Scotland have just released around about 60 of their previous fleet vehicles. So we know that they've been serviced correctly and they've been serviced and well maintained as well. So that's obviously the approach that we're currently taking as well. I hope that answers all your questions, Councillor.
Not really. You didn't tell us how old the vehicle was going to be. You've looked at vehicles, you've got to be looking at an age bracket. So just for, for members.
For the price range, we are looking at around about 2014, 2015.
Right. Next question is the cost of obviously putting our livery on that. Will that be in addition of the 12,000? And also, what is the contingency for a hire vehicle if our vehicle is off the road? Is that being costed into this? And also, has the MOT and service that the vehicle would require, is that being costed into this costings? Because obviously there's going to be on costs. And if you're looking at purchasing a vehicle for £12,000, which you've just said, on a 2014-15, what's it going to be worth in 3 years' time? Because it will probably be worth absolutely zero. So we've lost 12 grand. So I'll let you answer them questions and I'll come back with the recommendation.
So Chair, the vehicles that we'd be proposing, we would look to bring in slightly under the £12,000 mark. So that would allow us to have the livery put on there. From just general speaking to a Darlington company with regards to the livery, we would expect to pay at a very maximum £500 towards to getting it all Stanley Town Counciled up. With regards to the repairs and maintenance, there is a separate budget in the budget for repairs and maintenance of the vehicle, which I think has been set at about £1,000. With regards to contingency arrangements, if our vehicle ever broke down, it is, it is unfortunately a fact of reality that where a vehicle may break down. So we're currently in talks with the Durham County Council to hopefully take advantage of their current hire on, hire off business. So we will be able to take advantage of their cheaper rates on the occasion that our vehicle was not available at that point in time. Regarding the MOT and repairs, we are currently looking at the local vicinity with regards to who's available, but that's very much down to what vehicle we get in, and at the worst case scenario, we could take advantage of Durham County Council's fleet maintenance procedures as well.
I don't know if you're aware, the last time we got the vehicle, the livery was free from some local company. I think James Harper had something to do with it. I don't know if you need to speak to him, but the livery definitely cost me nothing the last time we got that vehicle.
Okay, I'm happy to. He's not mentioned it, but I'm happy to have that discussion with James.
So I would like to put a recommendation here, because there's so many ifs and buts and everything else. I would like the town clerk to go away and speak and work with the operations manager to bring feasibility costings between what is the difference between the hire cost and the purchase of a vehicle over a 3-year period, and that's also to put in the potential cost of a vehicle at the end in 3 years' time after we bought it. Because obviously, if you're talking 2014, that's it's going to be, this vehicle is going to be 10-year-old. Is it going to be fit for purpose? So my recommendation is the clerk and the operations manager go away, bring a feasibility study back to this group, probably after the elections, and we'll make that decision then. But in the meantime, we'll keep the current hire agreement going until that decision is made after the elections.
Oh, Carol?
I just want to second what Councillor Timby's just said. Totally agree.
Thanks very much. Does anyone else have any comments? No? Is everyone happy with that as a recommendation? Do we need to vote on that, James, or is it, or?
No, we're not committing to any purchase at this time, so that's absolutely fine.
Okay, so if anyone doesn't agree with that, can you please make yourself known? Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. That takes us on to 5.5, which is the renewal of Durham County Council contracts for 2021-22, as outlined at 4.3 of the report. Comments? Anyone want to speak on that one? Les?
Yeah, I just think we agree to keep these contracts rolling because there are a good contracts. So we've used the DCC for years on these ones, so I can't see a problem to not continue with them.
Thanks very much, Les. Carol? Carol?
Was that on mute? I'll second that.
You must have been, yes. Thanks very much, Carol. Okay, James, what do we do with that one? Are we happy just to accept everyone's agreement?
Unfortunately, because it's a financial commitment, we will need to do a recorded vote again.
Okie dokie, of course it is, that's right.
I'll make it as quick as I can, though. So this is the vote on 5.5.
Sorry, can I just pause for 1 minute, James? Joan, sorry, Joan, I didn't see your hand up there.
Oh, dear.
Thanks, Carol, that's all right. Again, I want to abstain from this vote. I the advice I took from Durham County Council on the last question about voting, and the way I've written my declaration of interest, I don't think I should vote on anything for the County Council.
I mean, we did have this discussion last time, and pecuniary interest is a personal interest for yourself or your family, and a contract for Durham County Council is not that. But I accept that that's your understanding of it, Joan, and so we're happy for that to do that, James. Okay.
That's absolutely fine, Chair. Obviously, now that Councillor Nicholson has disclosed, you mentioned abstain, Councillor Nicholson. Were you meaning you were disclosing a pecuniary interest in this matter?
Yeah.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. I would ask Councillor Joe Nicholson to leave the room just while we get the vote over and done with, and then I promise I will invite you back. Promise.
Thanks very much, Joan.
And I can confirm that Councillor Nicholson has now left the room.
Okay.
So going to the vote to approve the renewal of Durham County Council contracts for the year 21-22 as outlined in 4.3 of the report. So Councillor Gordon Binney.
4.
Helen Clark.
4.
Councillor Mark Davidson.
4.
Councillor Carol Hampson.
4.
Councillor James Kane.
4.
Councillor David Marshall.
4.
Councillor Joe McMahon.
4.
Ballinair.
4.
Councillor Jeanette Stevenson.
4.
Councillor Les Timby.
4.
And Councillor David Tully.
4.
11-4, Chair, so that is also carried.
Smashing. Thank you very much indeed, everyone.
I will now add Councillor Nicholson back
to return. Luckily, it was very swift. Welcome back, Joan. Righty-ho, if we can move on to item 9, the events working group. Who's going to take us through that? Alan.
Hello.
Hello.
Right, it's just everybody, just the minutes from, as I said earlier, we have been having the events working group, so it's just a copy of the minutes from the meeting on Friday, the 29th of January. Just quickly to go over, just to assure members that we are looking at things and we are making progress with them. We've looked at the Panto. Again, we mean mainly about things such as potentially advertising, things that's going to be that we can put in place to obviously make this a success. The events program from 2021 is a bit of a carry on from what we said earlier. The Armed Forces Day is probably going to be too soon to do a traditional one, but we have looked at some options to do some different ways towards doing that, and we're sucking it and seeing to a certain extent about how things we do further on. As Councillor Davidson said earlier, we have been speaking to some other groups on things like Minus Sunday, etc., where we can add value to that. And last year we did have a few plans that were going to really enhance the event. We've spoken to the groups again, and at this early stage, they've sort of again have expressed an interest in chipping in with that. Similarly, we've asked for a bit of funding from that, from a source, to see if we can get a little bit of financial help with that event as well, as we have Armed Forces Day. Otherwise, if anybody's got any questions, we've got another events meeting. We're going to maintain these monthly if we can, just so we keep up to date with things, and obviously we'll report these into yourselves when we've done them.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Anyone want to make any comment on that report or those two actual sets of minutes? Vala?
Chair, I suggest that these things are already written down, so I suggest that we just note both sets of minutes, please.
Okay. Are we happy with that?
Yes, Chair.
Gordon? You're on mute, Gordon.
Just to say, I agree with Barla. I think we should combine them together. Also, I second his suggestion.
Okay. So is that you're proposing that the events working group and the policy working group minutes are taken as one or noted as one? Is that the suggestion?
Right,
yeah.
That's right, yes.
Do we have anyone who is not happy with that?
Chair, I've got my hand up, but it's not because I'm not happy with that.
Oh,
that's okay.
I'm just going to say Mark.
No, I just wanted to come in to say I think that there's been some good work done in both the groups, really. I think that in the events group, we've tried to explore things and try to, we're not second guessing, but we're trying to say, well, if this happens, could we do this? And if this happens further down the line, can we do that? And the most exciting thing for me is that we're looking at, that we've been looking at things that we wouldn't have thought of without the COVID, if you know what I mean, because Alan just sort of touched on it there. We've got, we've, instead of having probably the Armed Forces Day, we're looking to have, can we have some armed forces involved in some of our other events? Alan's also done some work on trying to set up what I would say was an intergenerational project with probably some cadets and some sort of older veterans and things like that. So I think that I think we're doing some excellent work in this. We're just not quite sure whether it's going to come off, if you know what I mean, with the current situation. That's the only problem. So just really congratulations to especially Alan Tubman, who will not want the congratulations, I know, but I think that that when we've been in the meetings, there've been some excellent suggestions, and well done to all the officers on it, really, for the events group. And then for the policy group, I think in the policy group, I hope I'm not wrong here, but I think we've sort of cleared the decks. When we first started to have the policy group, was it 2 or 3 years ago now? We had a huge load of policies that hadn't been even dusted off since 2011 and 2012, and we've looked at most of them. We've had either 3 or 4 revisions of the risk register now. We've just banged away at the whole lot. We've had regular meetings that obviously Alan's been instigating as well. So I think that the 4 of us who's been on the policy group, we've been able to get lots done, and I think we're just about at the start where we start reviewing the policies that we've already reviewed in the last 3 years. So I think I think both groups has done really well over the time they've been going, Chair. I didn't want to disagree or agree with what the lad said, but I just think that because there's not going to be many more in this sort of electoral cycle. Is that the right word? I'm not sure. That I'd like to say well done to Alan and well done to James and well done to James Harper, who's been helping us in these groups, and I think they've been successful. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, can we actually have that noted that you know, as a council, we would like to put on record our thanks to the current membership of the groups and to the officers that have supported them.
Yes, absolutely,
Yes,
Chair. We'll make sure that that's recorded.
Lovely, Alan.
Yeah, it was just a little thing, just to highlight what Mark was saying. Certainly for the armed forces, I mean, James and we had a little bit of a summit with Dave Jarvis and John Smith, the new awards. They get their contribution as well, and we're looking to be able to do something that, as he said, that we wouldn't have done before, but to still at least be able to do something if we can't do the event. So we have been sort of investing a bit in the planning, and I agree with the policy group. I think we've got a little bit of catch up to do on some certain little bits and pieces, but the vast majority of the stuff should be covered now, and it's just a case of the review process. So for myself, thanks to the members that's working in them groups that's alongside us.
Okay, so thanks everyone for that. And we're on to item 11. St Cuthbert's and Tanfield. James, are you taking us through that, or is it?
No,
Alan?
Chair.
Oh, Alan again. Alan again. Yeah. Sorry, Alan.
Oh no, no bother. It's me again. Yeah. It's just something. This is something that it came to light when Jack here has produced a booklet on he'd done some research and produced a booklet on the history between St Cuthbert, his journey, and Tanfield. He circulated that round council and round members earlier in the year. Certainly, I know we got the information out to people. So this went not just to us, but it went to the church. He passed it out around the church, the DCC, the AAP, things like that. So a little bit of background to where we are at the moment. We've been talking to the AAP, and I think they've decided that they'll lead on the project. It's very, I know Councillor Stevenson is very, very much part of it at the moment, because what they're looking at is with County Durham, I think the year of pilgrimages next year. I think it was supposed to be 2020, it's 2021. So it very much fits in with a lot of the AAP's priorities. And we said we'd work with them on that. We've had some preliminary discussions, and we got to a point where, we felt that it was, we could bring it forward to yourselves for information and for full support. I mean, the current position is, as I say, the AAP is leading on that. Visit County Durham's interested in as part of the group. The diocese is part of the group. The Bishop of Durham's, I've tapped him for some money, but he wasn't beyond like, but he's part of the group as well. What there has been from the initial discussions is there's been a larger group meeting, which was in the early December, which was again about progressing this. Speaking to Daniel O'Brien at the Area Action Partnership, he said that he's looking at doing some consultation with the local town when later on through the process. I think when the COVID thing's up a little bit, he's going to try to get something out to people. They have done some ideas, some preliminary sort of sketches, which I've included a one as part of this. They're at the stage of trying to get some money together for it, and obviously the project's very dependent on how much we can raise to what sort of actually level of project they can deliver. So it's very much at that stage now, which is where we're at. I spoke to Daniel recently about it, and they're looking at a number of options. I think the diagram that we've included in this would be a preferred option. Obviously, if they can't get the max finance out of that, they're looking at possibly other options which can make it a little bit maybe it's a bit smaller, but still a pretty significant project in the locality. Budgetary considerations. From our point of view, we had a heritage budget of £5,000 for this financial year, the current financial year. Out of that, we've only spent £306 at the minute, so it leaves us with £4,694. There was a number of heritage projects that we did have kind of on the back burner, or under development, if you like, and then we've had to roll them forward into the next financial year. The other issue that we have is as part of the design and development, is there going to be any ongoing responsibility of Stanley Town Council as well for future maintenance and things like that? Because obviously, if we have to make a commitment to look after the site in future, that again is part of discussions ongoing with the overall project. But ultimately, what we're asking for today is the members to note where we're at with this. To decide how they would like us to progress this project, and if they decide they want us to go forward with this, what sort of contribution do they want to make? Do they want to make a financial contribution from the heritage budget, and would they want us to offer to make a annual sort of contribution by including any sort of maintenance programs, even though at this stage we're not 100% certain what it's going to look like.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Helen, do you have your hand up?
Yeah. Obviously, like Jeanette, I've been a little bit involved in this, but I have spoken to Daniel, and as you've alluded to, he was supposed to be doing some sort of a consultation, which I know hasn't happened. Obviously, I know you've mentioned COVID there. I have spoken to a few people in the village and obviously within the ward of Tanfield, and they're quite happy to have something. My concern was, I thought in the background they were going away to actually get some fixed costs. I can't see how us as a council can actually say how much we're willing to put in if we don't even know what the cost of the project is going to be. And that's coming from somebody obviously in the Tanfield ward who would love to see it. But, I know they've said that they've had various details of people will give money. But I think we really need to get some sort of an idea of what the cost of this is going to be. I mean, the drawing's fabulous, very elaborate, would look lovely, I'm sure, on the village green. But for me, it obviously hasn't taken off as fast as I thought it was going to take off. It was running fairly quickly, and I'm sure Jeanette will agree with that. And then it's slowed down. I mean, right at the beginning, I thought it was, if we were going to do it, it was going to be ready for the 20th of March. Because that was St Cuthbert's Day, and they wanted to do a big unveiling and all the rest of it. But obviously, that's not going to happen. So whilst I personally think it's a fabulous thing, I am a little bit disappointed, to be honest.
Thanks, Alan. Alan, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, well, I think Les was before me, but I'll just come in. I think I agree. There's two ways to look at the funding. You either got to have a project and say it's going to cost this, and then try and get the money, or you've got to try and get the money and make it fit the other way around. So again, it's I think speaking to Daniel about it, then what the impression was they were going to have like an all singing, all dancing sort of design, if you like, that hopefully, and if that was felt unachievable, then they could like have a fallback position, which still wouldn't be an insignificant thing, but it would still be a very, very nice, done well. It would be a very, very nice addition to what's already a nice centre of the village.
Thanks, Alan. Sorry, Les. I didn't see your hand there, and for some reason I was looking at my screen and saw Alan's.
Thanks, Chair.
Thanks,
I would have given Alan the right to reply to Helen anyway. So
right.
I just think it is a great project. It's something that'll be lasting. Potentially, the people that'll come to visit it will have, like a tourist income for Tanfield and Stanley, and it's something that we should put our back into. And I think and I would be happy, and Alan's right, would you get the money first and work the plans out, or which way we go? I would prefer to say that we give, or we use the 4,694 that's remain in the heritage budget to this project and see what we can get for the best value, and work, the council and Alan, work with Daniel and Helen and the residents of Tanfield Village to work on that overall plan, because I think it's right that the people who live there need to be involved in something that we're putting in there. So that's my proposal, and so, okay.
Thanks. Helen?
I understand where Les is coming from. I'm just worried. As I say, it looks a fabulous thing if this is the drawing that they're working to. But I am just worried that at this particular time, and I know heritage is fabulous, and I know it'll get Tanfield on the map, and I do want something there. I just don't know whether we're really, before committing, I think we should really try and get a decent feel for how much it is going to cost.
Thanks, Helen. Gordon?
I'd just like to say I agree with Les. I think it's you can control the costs. You can do it. You're coming from both ends, as Alan said. So I think we should go with Les's proposal. because I think it's a worthwhile project and it will bring a lot to the village, and you need to involve the village in it. But it's a case of working within the constraints that you have and take it from there.
Mark?
Thanks, Chair. I just want to come in and touch on some of that Alan mentioned that nobody's come in on yet. The actual maintenance of it. And I think it's one of them things, well, for me, where if we have to, then we might look after it. But if we don't have to, then we don't want to look after it, if you know what I mean. For example, I've got, me and Carol's done 2 installations while we've been on in this last term. Where we worked with the AP to do the stone for Michael Heavyside when it was the 100th anniversary of him winning the Victoria Cross in Craghead. The county council wouldn't look after that, and the town council is maintaining the plot and looking after it and doing the flowers and doing a cracking job. And then the second one that we did was we did a one for the 100th anniversary of the Southmore Memorial Park that was dedicated to the miners in Southmore who died in the First World War. And we did a stone there for them. And because it was in the county council's park, they're looking after it. The other one's in the county council's verge, but they'll not look after it. So it's just a thing there where I think you need to explore to find out what maintenance needs to be done and all that type of thing before signing up. But I do think that that for me, we need to be seen as pushing this project forward, because really I think that one of the first places where it came was here, and when it was here, we were I think like I say, I think it came and then it was like, well, we'd like to do it, but it's slowed down. So can we provide some impetus by saying we've got up to 4,700 there or 4,600 and whatever, I can't remember what Alan said now. And we've got this cash, obviously there's cash off the county councillors that it says there, so they must have already put something significant forward. So they don't know what the price is going to be. We don't know what the price is going to be, but I think we should just we should put the money in and we should go for it, really, because it's going to be a good thing for the heritage of our area. It's going to get more people here, and we also, like Alan says, she's been to some of the meetings, Jeanette's been to some of the meetings, Alan's been to some of the meetings, so we do have a bit of control there. It's obviously also going to have to go to some sort of consultation. So yeah, I think that it's a good thing, and let's do it. The heritage budget's there to spend on heritage, so let's spend it on heritage. There's no point in putting it there if you're going to spend it on, I don't know, lollipops or something. So let's just do it. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Mark. Helen?
That's fine. You know, I haven't got an issue with that. Tanfield, I'm sure, will be happy to take whatever money that they're given. Just the worry is, I mean, at the moment, obviously, there is a big Bloom group in Tanfield, and we actually look after the majority of the flower beds. The council they only do 2 flower beds in the whole of the village. So again, it's something that will need consultation as to whether they want to take on another flower bed.
Mm-hmm. I do believe, Helen, that sorry to interrupt, but I do believe that Joyce has given money towards this specifically for flowers. That's just what Daniel said.
She's given some money for the first year.
Yeah.
And obviously, as far as I'm aware, through the grapevine, I don't know properly, but allegedly, people are going to plant it up. So that's fine. I've got no issue with that.
Yeah.
But moving forward, I mean, I don't know how long the Britain and Bloom group's going to be here or whatever. And as I say, they do everything themselves and they do fund everything themselves.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know, because nobody has yet consulted with them, just exactly what the situation is there, or whether the county would take it over, whether Stanley would be responsible for it, or in fact, somebody within the village themselves may well, want to continue. Yeah. But until we've got that consultation, we don't know what we're working to, because there's 2 very, very different, there's this beautiful drawing and then there's a very small thing. So to me, we do need to know some sort of a cost.
Yeah, well, I do believe that once we get to a position where, for example, if we know what Stanley's going to put in, if we do know what the councils are going to put in, we do know what Visit Durham's going to put in, then we will have a budget. So that then gives us the potential of what we'd go, where we go from there. Alan?
Just really to say, we'll be happy to work with the Bloom. I'm sure James will be happy to work with the Bloom group and things like that. It's more at this stage just getting the attitude and the principle from the council of how they want us to progress this, you know. And I agree. I mean, the thing looks great, and it's well, I first looked at it, I thought that looks nice. It's going to cost a tiny bit of money, but I think at this stage as well as there's the two county councils, I think, both agreed to chip in. But I think at the moment they are putting it out there to try to get that together. So the collection of the money is part of the work in progress. I'll be more than happy to report back and keep members updated on how things go. As well as, obviously, I'm sure Daniel will keep everybody involved in the local people involved in any group meetings that they have ongoing anyway as regard the project.
Thanks, Alan. Mark?
Thanks, Chair. As this will be returning in a fortnight for full council, can I suggest that Alan contacts Daniel and tries to get some more information about who's allocated what money to this project and what the budget could be. I think because in a way, we all want it, but we all need to make sure that it's sort of deliverable, if you know what I mean. And if you could sort that out, and if you could possibly have a meeting with yourself and Helen prior to the meeting, Chair, and just try to make sure that we know where we're going with this project, and that's all I was thinking there after what Alan's just been saying, because I think it's probably you'll probably be able to find out a bit more about it before the next meeting. I don't know. Alan might say no, but I think that he probably can because he's good at that. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks for that. No, just to say no problem at all. I'm more than happy to pick that up, and I know James is interested in it as well. So James Harper. So we're more than happy to work with them on taking this forward. So yeah, I did ask for the last one. I know it was mentioned before for the consultation. You know what? I did mention that, so hopefully we can get a bit of progress on that as well. So I'll certainly get a bit of an update for everybody and let you know for the next meeting.
Yeah, I think that just regarding the consultation, I have spoken to Daniel about that, and what he said was he'd had some sort of a chat with someone who said that maybe this moment in time with COVID wasn't the correct moment to be trying to push leaflets and things through people's doors, which was his original intention. So I think maybe he's trying to think of a way around that. So, but it'll be good to have something maybe it's a little bit more fuller for full council. Okay, so what are we recommending if we move on to the recommendations?
Chair, there's a recommendation there from Councillor Timby, which was seconded by Councillor Binney, for the full £4,964 to be given, or for a recommendation to go to full council for that full contribution to be given to the project. So we would need to do a recorded vote on that.
Okay, fire away.
So members, as well as obviously, Alan obviously going away, and sorry, Chair, there's a hand up, Councillor Tully.
Oh, sorry, David, didn't say that.
Oh, and it's.
Are you all right, David?
It's gotten daft here. It is. My screen went blank. It's not very good. I would like to make an amendment that we defer this to full council to get more costings. But
well, I think what we're doing is recommending to full council, and then full council will have a discussion and make. We're only doing a recommendation, David. Yeah. It's not we're making a decision. So.
Went off.
Thanks, David. Right, James.
So, Chair, obviously, Councillor Tully made a proposal there, but there was no seconder on that. Obviously, this is as mentioned by yourself, Chair, this is a recommendation to full council for the approval of £4,964 to the project, of which Alan will, in the meantime, go away and probably provide a verbal report.
Yeah, smashing.
Sorry, there's another hand up, Chair.
Yes, Chair, I just want to clarify. James has just said 4,900.
600.
4,695.
Yeah, he's just whizzed the figures around back to front.
Righty-ho.
Thanks.
Apologies, Chair, my fat fingers on my keyboard. So Councillor Timby proposed and Councillor Binney seconded £4,694 to be recommended for the project, and we will go to the vote. So Councillor Gordon Binney.
4.
Helen Clark.
4.
Councillor Mark Davidson.
4.
Councillor Carol Hampson.
4.
James Kane.
4.
Councillor David Marshall.
Don't know if David's still in, James.
Oh no, he's left. That's fine. Councillor Joe McMahon.
4.
Ballinair.
4.
Councillor Joe Nicholson. Councillor Joe Nicholson.
You're muted.
4.
Councillor Jeanette Stevenson.
4.
Councillor Les Timby.
4.
And Councillor David Tully.
4.
Thank you, Chair. That's unanimous.
Thank you very much. David, your hand's still up. David Tully.
Oh, God.
If you can just try, it's just because I'm getting very confused.
Good words.
Doesn't take much. Okay, so thanks everyone. If we now move on to item 12, attachment K, building compliance.
Thank you, Chair. So members, this is a report from an update of the report that we've previously brought to your attention. So it's just an update on the council's compliance regarding the health and safety regulations. In the background, you can see that we are under the Health and Safety at Work Act, as well as a few other acts such as the Lifting Operations and Lifting Equipment Regulation. So we're currently responsible authority for 2 buildings, whilst 2 further buildings are leased to external organisations with responsibility passed on to these organisations. With regards to point 3 is the Civic Hall compliance, of which figure 1 shows the number of contracts that we currently have with Durham County Council, the service type, the frequency, the last service carried out, and the next service due. As you can see at the bottom in the automatic doors shutters, at the time of the report, the automatic doors shutter service was due for service, and we still do expect that to be completed shortly. On figure 2, these are the non-Durham County Council compliance contracted services, of which you can see highlighted in yellow is the February 2021 fly tower service and inspection. Following the service, there is some works that need to be undertaken, of which we're currently working with the servicing company and the original installer also. A number of other ones, cash register maintenance ×3 that was due in December 2020, and the building energy efficiency rating, which I mentioned in 3.6, that was meant to be done as part of the decarbonisation scheme. However, we're now looking at the wider environment to see who is available to undertake that. Moving down to point 4, the Anfield Plain Hut compliance. We still, as of yet, don't have a Legionella risk assessment. However, Peter and the staff are currently exploring this area. On the basis of the hut has been closed since the beginning of the pandemic, but we've continued with routine building compliance, such as the Legionella checks. So these recommendations for this report is just for the committee to note it, but I'm obviously, if anyone does have any questions, I'm willing to take them.
Any questions for James? Is everyone happy to note the report? Yeah.
Yep, happy to note, Chair.
Yes, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on in the agenda.
Chair, before we move on to the next item, I would recommend that we move 15, which is the date, time and venue of the next meeting, to this point in time. And then when we go into part B, we will not need to return.
Yeah, that's lovely. Sorry, you did ask me to say that and I forgot. So we'll move on to item 15, date, time and venue of next meeting, which is Tuesday the 13th of April at 6:30 via Teams. And I think we have to leave the meeting at this point, do we? Oh, sorry, Mark.
Yep.
Chair, we've got an item of business before then. Move that we exclude the press and public and the people who have declared an interest in this next agenda item, because the agenda item is going to contain information that'll you'll be able to find out people's personal details from it. So I'd like to move that we exclude the press and public, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. James?
I just want to second Mark's proposal, please, Chair.
Thank you very much. And then I think we have to go.
So, Chair, I'm just going to now end the meeting. And yes, if you obviously if you put an interest in earlier, then you will unfortunately have to leave the meeting. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. And bye. Gordon, over to you for item 14. Thanks now.